Had a look at the numbers our players played in all comps in the season just gone, our championship season. And there were a few numbers that came out to me, surprised me. I thought I'd sort of go through them, have a chat. I made a video like this actually a couple of years ago, and even those numbers retrospectively surprised me when I went back and looked at them. We played two Wembley 90-minute games. I suppose could have been extra time and penalties in either of them, below the maximum number of minutes we could possibly play in a season. And I would sort of split our players into different groups. There is the almost ever present super core. I was going to say you sort of hope they could have all played fewer minutes. Probably discount right from that. It's fine for a goalie to play 4,600 minutes. Deckers, just for the Arsenal, played 4,450 odd minutes, as he also played all these pointless Nations League games and friendlies and God knows what else for England. Just a little bit below that, surprisingly to me, because I feel like he sort of got rotated out a bit towards the end of the season. I think that happened. There's a recency bias. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly played a lot less than I imagined, and Zubi more. 4,300 minutes for Zubi. And then our centre-back pairs each played 4,200 minutes. Saliba's going to play a hell of a lot less than that this season coming. 4,200 each is a lot. There is a big drop down to the next cohort, who are first teamers, but playing an amount of time that I guess you sort of expect. And they are, well, again, Timber, he played about 3,500 minutes, probably played a bit. You know, he's coming into this season injured. Can we expect him to be rotated more? Then I actually felt Saka played a surprisingly high amount of minutes. So wait, no, I've skipped. First, 3,500 Gyökeres played more minutes than you would expect. Then Timber. So it's like 3,500, 600 for Gyökeres, I think, or around 3,500, and then it's like 3,300 for Timber, who got an injury at the end of the season, just came back in the final. 3,200 for Saka, more than I expected, actually. A lot of those are sort of compromised minutes, trying to get back to fitness, my instinct was. That's what the World Cup was like for him as well. You know, he only seemed to get to his full fitness, despite delivering some numbers early on, right at the end with that hat-trick in the third place playoff. 3,100 minutes, we've got Eza just behind, who, when you look at that team, he got some of those minutes on the left wing up until his failure to track Matty Cash, got him a significant period on the bench. But more settled in as a central midfielder rather than on the left. Maybe we'll see more of him on the left now. I mean, we would try. The fact we were in for Morgan Rogers still makes me feel like Arteta is willing to consider that kind of drifting player. Obviously, just behind that, so that's what, Eze around 3,100 minutes. Trossard got 3,000 minutes. Will Solis get as much as that? Maybe not. Maybe a little bit less. I mean, he generated crazy numbers in Belgium, and he's got a goal and an assist in his first couple of games. I didn't watch the Betis game, but I've seen the good corner. It's nice to have. I'm hoping, those crazy amount of minutes that Rice played, I would like to see Rice on the pitch less. Signing Guimaraes hopefully gives us the opportunity to do that, and giving Miles Lewis-Skelly more minutes. So it's good to have a good corner taker from that right-hand side. So we go down to Trossard. There's a bit of a drop because you've got, so he's 3,000. Then Nketiah is like 2,700. He effectively was on a job share with Calafiori, who only paid 2,200. To some extent, that's driven by injuries as opposed to selection. I thought that, Calafiori was one of our best players at the beginning of the season, a real chaos agent, useful against those sort of, both the low block and the mid block, two setups that have caused us problems. In the middle of Nkapie and Calafiori. Nkapie is like 2,700 and Calafiori is 2,200. In the middle, around 2,400, 2,450, I think, is Gabriel Martinelli. Who a lot of those minutes are Champions League. He had an excellent statistical Champions League season. If we had got that Vinny deal done, I think he would have had to be sold. So that's a silver lining. I still have some faith that we could get back to that great 15 Premier League goal season, Martinelli. You know, he did get double figures in all comps, but a disproportionate amount of those were Champions League group goals. His league sort of contribution was defined with two moments. One, the brilliant equaliser against Man City, and then his failure to follow Ødegaard's instruction in the pressing scheme at the Etihad, which cost us their winning goal. 2,200 was Calafiori. His partner there is Noni Madueke. Played 2,200 minutes. Again, the sort of job share with Saka. I, in my mind, would have weighted that closer to 50-50. I think so much of that is perception that it wasn't real Saka out there. It was trying to run his way back into fitness, Saka. Limp his way back into fitness. And then you're sort of really getting to players who are backup stroke sub players. At 2,000 minutes each, we've got Martin Ødegaard and Mosquera. I think 2,000 minutes might well have been more than we intended Mosquera to play in his first season. If we don't get a centre-back, he's going to have to play a similar amount of minutes again. I'm not sure at all about Konsa. I might make a different video about centre-backs. I'd have to have a look. So you sort of get weighted to players who play well against you. I thought, damn, Bullard, our old youth team captain, was brilliant in that game against us. I don't know if it was necessarily representative. But if you're going to buy a 28-year-old centre-back, is Konsa the one? Anyway, those are on 2,000. And then you've got the three players who are pretty much subs or rotation options for the Cups at 1,900. Miles Lewis-Skelly, who got his early minutes at left-back in the Champions League groups, where he actually played quite well, had some good games. But it was the end of the season after that brilliant Fulham game, where he played centre midfield all the way through to the Champions League final. 1,900 minutes is less than I expected. Mikel Merino also played 1,900 minutes, and so did Ben White. And then you've got really your subs, your just backups, the 1,000 minuters. Kepa, Arrizabalaga, Kai Havertz. Surprisingly, I mean, I know he was injured a lot, but that's a tiny amount of minutes, the same as Gabby Jesus. And then what have we got left? There's a couple of 500 minuters. Ethan Nwaneri and Max Dowman each play about 500 minutes. So looking at those minutes, here in a perfect world, we play even more minutes. You know, we get FA Cup semi-final and final. So it's a lot to ask for. Going up from below, will Ethan play another 500 minutes? My instinct is probably not. There's a real logjam in the middle and central positions. I expect Ødegaard to play way more than his 1,900 minutes, you know, and that immediately takes some away from Ethan. I think I'd like to see a loan for Ethan. 500 minutes for Max Dowman, you know, 1 goal, key assist. I expect him to get a lot more minutes than that, particularly at the beginning of the season. I would, if possible, like to see Saka get a slightly extended holiday. The 1,000 minutes, Kai Havertz is going to play way more minutes. I see it more like a 50-50 split with him and Gyökeres as the centre forward. Jesus, maybe a comparable amount. He did get injured. I mean, I could see Jesus, if we could, we would sell him. He's on very high wages in the last year of his contract. I could easily see him finishing his career back in Brazil. He'd be crazy not to get his last season of top money. Unless we virtually can pay him to go somewhere else, I think he's going to be a weapon for us in domestic cups. I think Marino is going to play way more than 1,900. I think Benny Blanco, we very much hope, can play more than 1,900 to ease the load on the injured Timber. It's funny, the Saliba injury has probably firmed up his place in the squad. Yeah, I didn't even mention Marley Salmon, who plays quite a lot less than 500 minutes. Where are we? Benny Blanco, I mean, as you go up, Martin Ødegaard is going to play way more than 2,000 minutes. I think he is going to be sharing, the more than 3,000 minutes for Eze and only 2,000 minutes for Ødegaard. I see that being more split, definitely in the attacking midfield position. Maybe Eze can get more numbers on the left wing if the available left winger isn't there for us. I mean, we were looking at the top of the market. There isn't really anyone near. I don't see Barcola and Nico Williams are borderline Walcott level players. They're explosive athletes. They can get you good numbers, but they are going to be most effective in transitions and against teams that lose the ball high up. As champions, we're going to be facing a lot of low blocks. Who is an equivalent target to Kvaratskhelia? Well, it's not Barcola. It's to Vinny Jr. It's Kvaratskhelia, not Barcola. I mean, those obviously the two centre backs who play 4,200 minutes. Saliba's not going to get near there. It's about changing output really more. I hope the Saka, we don't have to play him back into fitness quite so desperately because we've got more options. You're inserting Guimaraes effectively as a replacement for Norgard. He's going to play way more than 1,000 minutes, so that evens some other things out. We want Zubi playing way less. He was far less efficient towards the end of the season. I think that Rice actually surprisingly retained his efficiency, but I think you're rolling the dice. He comes off the pitch and has ice on his hammies, quads, and what have you. I don't want us rolling that dice too much. A serious injury to Declan Rice is catastrophic for our prospects. When you look at the minutes those players have played, I mean, I also expect an increased output from Gyökeres, more used to playing for Arteta, from Eze, more used to playing for Arteta, from Noni Madueke, I hope we can get an increased output. I'd seriously consider, particularly at the beginning of the season, the way that Daumann drifts in so nicely from the right, to try Noni on the left wing, where he played quite often for Chelsea, not so much for us. Getting chalk on his boots like a classic old winger, and really working defences, stretching them so the spaces between players. Nketiah and Calafiori, I hope we can keep Calafiori fitter so that sort of between them 4,900 minutes split is a little bit more 50-50. Calafiori gets some more minutes on a comparative basis. I think that we do have to bring in another defender. I had this fantasy idea partly because I was hoping we would get Vinny, and I very much wanted to see Martinelli stay in our squad, to try him right back. Said Brazil, Ancelotti should do it for Brazil as well, partly for the same reason. I was desperate for us to keep him. It hasn't happened. I don't think it's going to at this stage. I'd love to keep Gabby. Martinelli can get just a 15, 20 GA season. It doesn't have to be 15 goals in the Prem. That can be a real contribution. Anyway, yeah, I'll make a separate video about my Dan Ballard audio. I haven't even looked at his passing numbers. I know Konsa's got great passing numbers. There's just something about the eye test for me where I'm less sure about Konsa. Centre-back video to follow. Come on, the Arsenal.